There's a particular kind of search that happens at midlife. It's not panic, it's not quiet desperation. It's more like a quiet wondering. What is this all for? Not in a dark way, not even in an unhappy way necessarily. Just a genuine question that won't quite go away. It's lingering. If that's the question you're carrying right now, this may not be a crisis. This is your psyche recognizing that the developmental task has shifted, and what you're searching for might not be out there at all. Erik Erikson, who mapped adult development, identified this moment precisely. He called it the shift from identity to generativity. The first half of life asks, who am I becoming? The second half asks, what is this becoming for? That shift from building yourself to asking what yourself contributes is not confusion. It's a normal developmental phase of life. And it often arrives as a question about purpose, not because you've lost direction, but because direction itself now needs to mean something. We've been taught to think about purpose the way we think about achievement. Something to pursue, something to acquire, something that announces itself clearly once you work hard enough to find it. And if you haven't found it yet, if the purpose hasn't arrived, the assumption is you're not looking hard enough. You need more clarity work, more journaling, more trying. But what if that's exactly backwards? What if purpose isn't something you chase down, but something you stop running from? Viktor Frankl, who studied meaning and survival, identified 3 pathways to purpose: creative work, which is what you make, build, or contribute; love and beauty, what you experience through connection and presence; and your individual attitude toward suffering, how you meet what can't be changed. Notice what's not on that list: finding your passion, discovering your calling, waiting for the universe to mysteriously reveal your mission. Frankl didn't say purpose finds you. He said purpose is enacted through what you create, through how you connect, and through how you respond to what life brings. Which means purpose isn't hiding. It's actually already present in how you're showing up to what's in front of you. Here's what often happens when people describe this search. They say they don't know what they're looking for, and then they list exactly what matters to them. It goes a little bit like this: I don't know my purpose, but I know I care about helping people feel less alone, creating something that lasts, teaching what I've learned the hard way, protecting what can't protect itself. That's not confusion. That's clarity you haven't given yourself permission to call purpose yet. Because somewhere along the way, we absorbed the idea that purpose has to be grand, significant, recognizable, profitable. But purpose doesn't need an audience. It just needs to feel true when no one's watching. Philosopher Alice Dale McIntyre wrote about practices, the activities and roles through which we develop excellence and find meaning. A practice isn't just any activity. It's something with internal goods, satisfactions available only through doing it. The musician doesn't practice scales for external recognition. She practices because becoming skillful is meaningful in itself. The teacher doesn't explain a concept just to get good evaluations. He teaches because clarity landing in a mind is its own reward. Purpose, in this view, isn't something you discover once. It's something you participate in through practices that matter to you, even when they're hard, even when no one notices. Which means the question isn't, what is my one big purpose? The question is, what practices call me back, even when I'm tired? If you've been feeling like you should have this figured out by now, like purpose should have arrived clearly and you're somehow behind, that pressure isn't helping you find anything. It's just making you feel like you're failing at something that isn't even how this works. If that's landing, if you're recognizing yourself in this, go ahead and click the like button, just as an acknowledgement. Yes, this is the question I'm carrying. It helps others know they're not alone in this. Here's what I've noticed both clinically and personally. When people describe what feels purposeful, they're actually not describing something new. They're describing something they've always known. The 8-year-old who organized her stuffed animals by need, she's now a healthcare advocate. The teenager who translated for his parents at every appointment, he's now building systems to help immigrants navigate institutions. The person who always noticed when someone was sitting alone, she's now creating spaces where belonging is accessible. Purpose isn't something you discover, it's something you remember about who you were before the world told you who you should be. Carl Jung observed that the psyche operates differently in life's second half. The first half is about building identity, competence, security, and status. The second half is about integration, becoming whole rather than successful. That shift often feels disorienting. The motivations that worked for decades stop working. The achievements that once satisfied feel hollow, not because something's wrong, but because the psyche is asking a different question now. Who am I when I'm not performing? What matters when status doesn't? What do I actually value, not what I was taught to value? Purpose at midlife isn't about adding more. It's about removing what was never yours to begin with. So, if you're in this territory right now, feeling like purpose should be clearer, here's what might help. Not a framework, not a 5-step plan, just noticing. Notice what you do when no one's asking you to. Notice what problems you can't stop thinking about, even when they're not your job to solve. Notice what you were drawn to at 8, at 15, at 22, before life demanded practicality. Notice what feels alive when everything else feels mechanical. That's not random. That's the psyche showing you what's been true all along. And before we make purpose sound like something everyone eventually arrives at, I need to be honest about something. Not everyone arrives at clear purpose. Some people spend decades in work that pays well, but doesn't feel purposeful. Some people are so occupied with survival, caregiving, or chronic illness that purpose feels like a luxury they can't afford to consider. If that's you right now, this isn't about adding pressure. Frankl's third pathway, attitude towards what can't be changed, that's purpose too. Meeting your circumstances with dignity, with honesty, with whatever grace you can imagine, that is not failing at purpose. That's enacting it under conditions most people won't ever have to face. If these kinds of conversations help, if they give you language for what you've been carrying quietly, this might be a channel worth staying connected to. Not because I have all the answers, I certainly don't, but because these are the questions that matter at this stage of life, and you don't have to figure them out alone. So, if you're searching for purpose right now, I want to encourage you to stop looking outward. Look back. What did you love before it had to be productive? What did you care about before it had to be profitable? What moved you before you learned to ignore it? That's not nostalgia. That's the self you've been trying to become all along, quietly waiting for permission to matter again. You don't need to find it. You just need to stop pretending you don't already know.